Hello everyone, this is Yalda from Eat, Burn, Sleep, the online low inflammation, gut health and sustained weight loss platform. If you follow me on my social media, you probably know that I love learning, discovering new things, meeting passionate individuals. So I have decided to launch this podcast where I interview amazing people. We're going to be talking about physical health, mental health, well-being, with people who are passionate about what they do and who strive for excellence. I hope you learn from it and you enjoy it. Let's get started. Hello everyone, welcome back to another Eat, Burn, Sleep podcast. I'm here with an incredible doctor, Dr. Ursula Levine, who is based at the Lanserhof clinic on Dover Street in London. Hi, Dr. Levine, how are you?
Hi, Yalda. I'm fine. Thank you for having me tonight.
My absolute pleasure. So we've met a few months ago when the Lanserhof clinic asked me to do a conversation with you for their first anniversary, which I absolutely, truly enjoyed, and discovering your work was absolutely fascinating for me. So I really wanted to have you on my podcast to discuss the impact of trauma on chronic inflammation. So tell us a little bit about you. You're a medical trained doctor, you're Austrian, and you have specialized in Chinese medicine and trauma and healing trauma. Am I correct?
Yes, you are. Well, I grew up in a medical family, and it seemed to me like a natural way to go forward. But I always wanted to forge my own way. So I very quickly, when I was very young in my studies, I tried to forge my own way into medicine. And so you know how it is in life. One step leads to the other. You are interested in one topic, and this is the first field that I dived into was Chinese medicine, and I met an incredible woman, one of the first doctors who went to China to train there. And I sort of was fascinated by Chinese medicine because it treated the human body in the context of the inside and the outside world. And then one thing led to the other. From acupuncture, I started training in pharmacotherapy, in manual therapy, a Japanese method where I work with the hands, touching people, opening meridians with the hands. And, you know, when you sit with a person and holding that person for 45 minutes, that creates a very intimate situation. And then my patients started opening up emotionally, and I had, at the time, I had no other tools than my empathy and my medical education rather than being a therapist. And this led me then on to trauma therapy, a method that was created by a gentleman called Peter Levine. There is no relationship, so I'm not married to Peter Levine. And I was fascinated by the method of healing trauma through the body. So that seemed to be the perfect connection and a puzzle piece that I missed in my holistic treatment. Yeah,
that is absolutely fascinating. I want to give a little bit of background to my listeners. I have come to your office and I have had acupuncture with you. I have had acupuncture with many people in my life, and I have seen many doctors, but it was the first time that I saw someone who fully understood all the medical science and also had a very healing, holistic approach to helping people. It is the mix that you offer is truly unique. And where I was really impressed with that session is you put very few needles, and you told me less is more. After that session, I don't think I told you, I have slept solid for 3 hours when I went back home. But what really fascinated me was the fact that you cover the whole spectrum. So I would like you to tell us more about what happens in terms of body processes when there is an emotional or psychological trauma.
Well, I consider that there are what I call 5 elements of health, right? So we have the physical element with all the hormones and all the metabolic processes and musculoskeletal issues. And we have the energetic part, which is covered by Chinese or Japanese or any other traditional medicine, where you think of energy flows. Then we have the emotions, and we all know this old expression of psychosomatic, yeah? So the connection between chronic pain having an influence on your emotions and vice versa. And then we have the mental aspect or the mind, where I always say the healing starts, because healing is a mental process, and you can set yourself up for deterioration and you can set yourself up for healing with your mind. Yeah. And this is why I worked in the past I worked in a psychiatric hospital with people with addiction, which taught me a lot about the state of ambivalence. And this is something that many of my patients are at the moment with this whole lockdown situation, where you want to work out, but then you don't want to work out. And you want to change your lifestyle, you want to eat healthy, but at the same time, you're deprived of so many other things. You want to reward yourself. And this is all these cycles that we deal with, yeah, are connected, and they literally have an effect on every other aspect of these 5 elements. Then the next aspect is the purpose of life, or the spiritual aspect, you know. Do I live to work, or do I work to live? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what is my purpose in life? And this is also something that has come up in recent times now, because people ask themselves, what is really important? Yeah. That's and right. Now the discussion, you know, Christmas coming up. So we all realize, you know, how important it is to come together with the people we love. Yeah. So family and friends. Yeah. People we couldn't connect to. And, you know, we had this discussion about wearing a mask, or shall we sit together in a room? All these things we wouldn't have considered a few months ago. Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah. So we literally come down to the things that are really important. And these are interpersonal relationships. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the 5th element of our health is what is covered by the functional medicine, is the environmental effects. Yeah. So healthy nutrition, clean air, clean water, healthy relationships. Yeah. Absolutely. So everything that is, and you know that at Lanserhof we are, you know, advocating in genetic testing. But at the same time, the epigenetics, what forms us during our lives, is also very important. So all these 5 elements fit into each other. Yeah,
absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Actually, when during my difficult years, when I was really ill, I have never allowed myself to see a negative prognosis for myself. Mm-hmm. And because I had the deep feeling, even though I didn't know the science behind it, even though I didn't look into epigenetics and all of that, that if I was to have a negative view in my head, my body might produce that result. Mm-hmm. And now we know much more about it. So I'm someone who's, you know, naturally extremely positive. I set myself positive scenarios in my head all the time, because I know negative ones, then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But if you have a patient who comes in your practice, like everyone has baggage, emotional baggage, all of us. We're just different forms. We all have environmental stressors, we all have work stressors, family, and all of that. If they have a negative outlook on life, how do you get them to understand that this is going to cause further issues with their bodies and hence with their minds as well?
What I try to do is work with resources. So what I'm doing with my patients is I'm creating a toolbox with all the things that help them getting better. And for some of my patients, it is literally a toolbox we visualize, or for some it's a Louis Vuitton handbag. It doesn't really matter what it is. Something you like, something you enjoy, yeah. And we put little tools in there, yeah, things that make you happy, things that you are good at, yeah. And sometimes, my kids might confirm that I love tidying up, and I love. And I think I love most helping my patients tidy up their lives, yeah. And sometimes, as you know, when you tidy up, you have to throw out things. Mm-hmm. So throw out might sound a bit harsh.
Declutter.
Yes. Or saying farewell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's things, it's attitudes, and sometimes it's also people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people that are not good for us. Yeah.
Yes.
And creating this toolbox with the resources is a big step. Yeah. Because our medical system helped us really well to concentrate on everything that's bad.
So true.
Yeah. So the crucial question of each doctor was, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I try to focus on what is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And coming back to the method that I work with the so-called somatic experiencing, it is the creating the toolbox with little steps, yeah, is the most important thing. Because when someone is stuck in a very big trauma and you create something very, very, very positive, then it's like a pendulum.
It's a shock.
Yeah, it can swing from something very, very negative into something very, very positive, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's like a rubber band. It will snap back.
Interesting.
Yeah. So creating a toolbox with little tools and going step by step creates a sort of pendulation, and in trauma therapy and in somatic experiencing, we call this titration. That's a little bit a backlash on chemistry in school.
Yes.
When drop by drop by drop, you infuse the situation with good things. And this helps the body to integrate a new perspective, if you wish.
What you're saying is so interesting, because this concept applies to work. Sheryl Sandberg, in her book Lean In, talks about the fact that incremental changes have a bigger impact over the future, which is what you're saying, improving by a little bit, slowly, rather than one big change. And when it comes to weight loss, all the studies show that rapid weight loss you can snap back to the old weight very quickly, because the body has a memory of weight. So when you so to all the people who embark on the eat, burn, sleep lifestyle, who, suffer from obesity, I always ask them to give themselves a 1-year horizon and to go very slowly, because when you go slowly, you lock in those gains. And it sounds like with trauma therapy, it's the same thing. You want to lock in the gains with small improvement rather than a huge positive change. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. I always say, imagine, and I work with pictures, yeah? So imagine your project or your issue is like a big ball of wool that's completely tangled. And, we always try to start to untangle this big ball of wool from the middle, yeah? It's so tempting because we want to, rip it out. We want to go to the core, yeah. We want to find out what was wrong in our childhood, yeah. But I always say it doesn't work that way, yeah. Better go on the outside and start with the thread that you can see, because starting with the easy things is setting you up for success. And with the first step of success, you can build a new pathway, and this is building neural pathways, yeah.
Exactly. Changing habits.
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing. Which are ingrained in the brain physically. So you're changing, the neural pathways. That's fascinating.
Yeah. And when you say things like, this is how I am, or this is what I do, this is such a killer phrase.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because it's a belief.
Yes. And it sets you up because your mind will do what you tell it to do. Yeah. So when you tell your mind, this is how I am, your mind says, she's not going to change.
Yeah. I mean, earlier when I was saying that's epigenetics, actually what I was meant to say, it's neuroplasticity, and this is what you're describing. If you tell your brain something, it will create that. I remember when I was suffering from colitis really badly, I started praying, and I come from an atheist family, okay? I started praying. And at some point in my prayers, I started visualizing a healthy colon. Mm-hmm. Whenever I did that, the next day I had less symptoms. Mm-hmm. And that's how I started discovering what you're talking about. If you say, oh, I do this, oh, I binge eat, then you will binge eat. Mm-hmm. If you say, oh, I have Crohn's, I have IBS all the time, then you will. But if you tell yourself, I'm working towards a healthier digestive system or healthier relationship patterns or positive outlook, it makes us do that more easily.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's very important as a medical professional to support my patients in that way. Yeah. Because what I admire about your way is that as far as I understood, you were most in this development, you were alone, right? Yeah. And I think this is really, really sad because we need to work together. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is what I like about integrative medicine. Yeah. Because you work as a team for the patient, and it's not about creating dependency. It's about making a patient independent. Yeah.
Correct. Giving them the tools to know how to feel good.
Exactly, yeah.
Amazing. So when a patient comes, so do you talk to people, then you do acupuncture, or you apply your Japanese healing method that you were describing? Can you tell me like how other sessions can go with you?
Well, it's what I like is to do bespoke. Yeah, so bespoke in diagnostics. Obviously, we live in the 21st century. I don't need to rely only on pulse and tongue diagnostics. I have all the benefits of blood testing or microbiome testing or genetic testing. So each patient gets a tailor-made diagnostic tool or a diagnostic session or diagnostics in general, and then obviously a physical examination. I think hands-on is very important. So this was something a patient of mine said the other day. You must be very happy that you don't have to touch people at the moment in this situation. And I said,
it's the opposite.
This is very, very sad because I like to touch people. Yeah. And although I think it's a bit naughty to say that in the UK. But in German, to treat people means behandeln, which means hands-on. Yeah. So you can't escape that. Yeah. Anyway, so this is what I do. And then in treatment, so in the first session, I would do the diagnostics. Yeah. I rarely start treatment in the first session because I think it needs, sometimes we embark on a journey together, and that affords trust, and that affords, getting to know each other. Because especially when it goes into trauma therapy, we say the chemistry needs to be right. So yes. The patient needs to feel I'm the right therapist, and I also need to feel that what I'm doing is the correct thing, or do I need to refer? Yeah. Because obviously, you kindly said that I have a lot of expertise, but there are things that I'm not specialized in. So I work in-house here with our in-house multidisciplinary team, yeah. Or I refer out to other specialists. And in treatment, I'm very intuitive. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think I propose things. Yeah. And I propose a certain sequence of treatments combining acupuncture Jin Jitsu is the Japanese method. Some people are, with certain backgrounds, are wary of touch. So it wouldn't make sense to advise, we start with something where I hold you 45 minutes. Yeah. Or just talking. I make this inverted commas in the air now because talking and counseling can be very potent. Yeah. I prescribe supplementation, also IV supplementation. I go into fasting, or discuss a fasting option. So all kinds of things. So I literally am a firm believer in there is no one size fits all.
Yeah. You also have a very healing energy, and that's obviously people can experience when they are around you. So I understand what you're saying about when you're holding someone for 40 minutes, you probably do them a lot of good. But at the same time, I can imagine you need to feel that they are open to receive that healing energy from you.
Yes. And the good thing about these methods is I can't force your body to do things it doesn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So sometimes that is the fear, especially of male patients, that I'm doing something esoteric and they don't want that. Yeah. And this is it is over after the first session. Yeah. Yeah.
It's so interesting you're saying this, because earlier I was looking at my Instagram insights, and I have 89% of women followers when chronic inflammation impacts men and women. It's not gender. And a lot of women tell me, I'm trying to get my husband to do this. I have noticed that men are less open to more holistic way of getting healthier. Have you noticed that as well?
Well, there were times in my clinic, in my practice in Vienna, where each man who came into my door, I said, have you been dragged in by your wife? Yeah, so it was like this. But now, especially in this situation with the lockdown, I think men tend to admit that they have weaknesses, that they feel weak, and that they want to look after their health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I have more and more male patients. So, and I'm really, really happy about that, because, obviously we women, we are the influences in our bubbles, in our families and our friends. Yeah. But, with men who go out and, fight the fight. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have much more influence in the way of, when they represent a healthy lifestyle. Yeah. And this is growing. Yeah. So the understanding for holistic or integrative medicine in the male world is growing. Yeah.
That's very good news.
Yeah. And I'm really happy about that. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
It is a good thing. And it's true also, it's so much pressure. You have a son, I have sons. You have one or two sons?
I have one son.
One son.
2 daughters.
And 2 daughters, that's it. I have 2 boys. I think it's horrible pressure for a boy or a man to not have the chance to be weak. It's a terrible thing. This cultural thing, and it needs to be broken. They need to admit that they need help when they want it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it's still very much ingrained, this sort of, boys don't cry. Yeah. But I think it's changing.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Us women will change that.
Oh yeah.
And get the boys to cry.
Definitely. Yeah.
Amazing. So you studied medicine in Austria.
Yes.
What was the thing that made you want to discover more about Chinese medicine?
Sadly, it was a very personal experience, because someone very dear to me died very young, and I all I could do is literally watch it. And the way traditional or conventional medicine and conventional doctors treated that person was simply appalling. And I thought, this can't be it. I'm a medical student myself, but this is not what I want. So this is why I embarked on a journey to look for something else. I thought there must be answers out there. I couldn't help this particular person anymore, but I think I could help other people. Yeah.
Amazing. So there is a part of healing your own journey through healing people.
Oh yeah, yes, definitely. Yeah.
We all have that, I think.
Yes, and it's part of, when you are, as doctors are humans, right?
Yeah.
So I think whatever you've experienced, you have more empathy for your patients. Yeah. And I think in former years, to become a midwife, you had to be a mother.
Interesting.
So you couldn't become a midwife. So there was something about that. Yeah. And what I found interesting is when I became a fasting doctor. Lanserhof medicine is based on the principles of F.X. Meyer, who was an Austrian physician who created this form of fasting. And to become a fasting doctor, you have to fast yourself. So you have to experience that. Yeah.
Yes.
And that was quite interesting. Yeah. For me, that was a very interesting experience. I never knew that I was a coffee addict.
Interesting.
Yes.
So when you fasted, you realized your addiction?
Yes.
How interesting.
Yes, because I had really, really serious withdrawal symptoms.
How interesting.
Yeah. It was, I had splitting headaches for days and felt very aggressive. Yeah. Sort of, I could have bitten everybody's head off. Yes.
How interesting.
Yeah, it was a very, very bad experience. Yeah. And I was really surprised because I was not aware. Yeah.
Wow. I actually have the opposite thing where I can't stand that a substance has power over me. I know it sounds a bit crazy.
No, absolutely not.
But when so unfortunately there is addiction in my family, so I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I often switch up my routines. So if I start having coffee regularly, then I'll stop. Mm-hmm. If I start having green tea, I don't stop because that's fine. But if I start having coffee, or for example, if I start having glass of wine more than twice a week, then I won't touch it for a few weeks. I'm always auto-regulating like this because I cannot stand the idea that a substance would have control over me. I do this often.
This is very good. And this is what I encourage with my patients, especially, for instance, when they take supplements. Yeah, obviously, when there is a massive deficiency, you have to stay on things.
Yes.
Yeah, but life comes in circles. Life comes in cycles. Yeah.
Yes.
So you take something for a while and then you go to another aspect. Yeah. Because there are so many things out there that you can do with similar effect. Yeah. So, and the body wants the change. Yeah.
Correct. Just like with seasons.
Absolutely.
Because we used to eat seasonal things.
Yes.
And sometimes I have people who say to me, Yalda, I have a phase where I only eat chicken, then I can't stand it anymore. And then I go through a phase of fish. And I often say, just let it happen. It's a good thing. It's like when we were eating seasonally and only seasonally. There would be a season where it was apples and all you ate were apples, and then the oranges in December and all you ate for dessert or whatever was oranges. I think we need those changes.
Yeah. So what is your favorite food at the moment?
So I went through a phase of fish where I had a lot of fish, and funnily now when I smell fish, it's starting to smell funny. It literally will do that to me, and I know I need to switch.
Yeah.
So I'll probably go through a phase where I'm eating more poultry or more when it comes to animal protein, and I'll come back to fish probably in a couple of months.
Yeah, I'm in my beetroot phase.
Are you?
Beetroot and chestnuts at the moment.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I can't eat chestnuts, but I love beetroot.
Mm-hmm.
I go through radishes as well.
Yes, I had my radish phase before that. Yes.
But that's very good for liver detoxification.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. And it's always good for the immune system. So according to Chinese medicine, everything that is like a little bit sharp, not chili hot, is linked to the lung as an organ in Chinese medicine, and the lung stands for the immune system. Yeah.
How interesting! I didn't know that.
Also, the white color. So every white vegetable or white food is linked to the lung and the immune system.
So parsnips, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. And radishes. So with vegetables, I go through radishes phases. I do get beetroot phases, definitely. I get olive phases, but that's actually all year round. But that's because of my background, I guess. I love olives. How interesting! I mean, I'm loving this chat. So, if people want to find you, they can find you at the Lanserhof Clinic in London.
Yes.
And in Austria as well?
No.
Okay,
I left Austria, so I'm only here at Lanserhof at the Arts Club in Mayfair. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I hope people have enjoyed this chat. Thank you so much for your time. I always love seeing you.
Thank you.
Always learn so much from you.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you to all of you for listening. Thank you to all of you for listening today. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to go on eatburnsleep.com to learn more about gut health and chronic inflammation. I would really appreciate if you could rate this podcast, and of course feel free to share it with anyone who might enjoy it. Have a beautiful day.